Hello and welcome to our November 29th MLC Cafe. Our topic this time is compromise. And I've already heard from several of you guys who are here today. And I'm going to give that a similar introduction to hear what you guys have to say. We'll do a bunch of breakout room things, but I chose compromise knowing that I was going to be the host, mostly because of the American holiday of Thanksgiving. And if any of you guys are American or know anything about it, it's the most important American universally accepted time to gather and meet family and hope to not argue with them. And so I thought, compromise. It sounds like a good thing that we need to remind ourselves always, but is something that's on my mind this time of year when you sit down across from family. So I'm Jim Ellis, and I'm living in Vienna, Austria. And you can see my Twitter tag down there, ECIS Jim. And I am the head of innovations for ECIS, besides teaching some of the MLC courses. So I'm really excited to have you guys here today, so that way we can play around with some ideas. They're more provocations than they are a lesson. We're going to spend some time in breakout rooms as well, discussing, mixing, getting to know one another, asking each other some questions, and connecting. But before we do that, I do want to talk a little bit about ECIS, like what we are and what we're here to do. And I think that meets some housekeeping needs in that sense. And so we're going to kind of answer your questions in that sense as well, from what I've heard prior to starting the recording. So we have definitely our ECIS story, whether it's our scholarships, special interest groups, or SIGs. So if you're a math teacher, we have a SIG for you guys to participate in, or PE or anything else. We are definitely committed to DEIJ, and you should see that reflected in everything that we do at this point forward. And really for the last few years, there's no doubt about that this has been a focus for a long time. And we have conferences. And if you're a middle leader, I think there's no better thing than to show up in London this next year, this next April, buy a ticket, come on down, be, COVID ready, and know that we're going to have a chance to connect with others and meet other leaders from around the globe and work together on some important ideas. So consider our leadership conference as well. And we have these MLCs that Rachel and Seema and several others were mentioning already on this call, kind of curious about. So I think my favorite way to think about an MLC course, a Middle Leader Certificate, is literally, I'm going to steal Rachel's words from prior to turning this thing on. If I may paraphrase, the most important place of development in a school comes from its middle leadership at this point going forward. I think, and she's nodding her head, thank you. I think COVID has accelerated that, as it has many things, particularly because the capacity of leaders to do a lot of the work has really drained away. And a lot of balls have that have gone uncared for have been picked up by teachers who are also leaders. Without believing that my voice is too important, I'll ask Rachel, and we've never met, but did you want to add anything to that? Is that kind of the story you're seeing of where development is taking place in your school or international schools more generally?
Absolutely. I think international schools more generally. I think my school's a little late to the game, and I'm sort of trying to push that agenda. But I've noticed exactly what you said, where I feel like middle leaders are doing a lot more than we used to, but we're not necessarily given the training to do it. And so I think the training would really give a good foundation for the new responsibilities that we've been taking on.
Super. I love that. And in that sense, I'm going to give you guys a little more leadership of running this thing. I'm going to put Bea on the spot. She mentioned a little bit already. But I want to hear from Bea. You just finished an MLC course, and you were mentioning a few of the tools, the book Nudge, the Draw Toast exercise, and a few other bits. How do you imagine this course that you just took aiding your work as a leader, middle leader in your school? Do you want to share anything like that, Bea? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of things that I learned that I'm a person that I'm very practical. So first I want to put it in practice and see with my team, with who I'm confident with, and then see how it works, or even like give it a go, and see if I do some mistakes or where can I learn better. And then I did ask my management team. Well, my management team asked me to give them a presentation, and to share my learning with them and to kind of like guide them through the process at the same time, which is very exciting. And that is why before, after everything I've learned, I want to put it in practice. And I'm sure like I have a really good foundation thanks to you, James.
Cool. Thanks. That was a very polite answer. I really appreciate it. And the fact that you're back less than a week later says something, I hope. So I'm glad you're back. Hello to Heather and Chris. Chris, I know from Vienna as well. Heather, we'll meet in a minute. I'm more than glad to have you guys here, and we'll get conversational. I'll talk a little bit about, and here's some great ways to connect with us, by the way. If you're not following us in Twitter, LinkedIn, I highly recommend it. Check out all of our wonderful offerings at ecis.org, of course. Near the end of this hour, I'll kind of finish with where the next MLCs are and where we can find them and that sort of good stuff. But I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity. Yeah, use the chat. Go ahead. No worries, Heather. I'm glad you're here. Marking away. Yeah, it's important stuff. We're so darn busy as teachers, so I'm really glad you guys are taking the time to do this sort of stuff. But I want to play around with some ideas, and Bea may recognize that from me, that I sort of have a way in which I want to operate and some things to do, but I also want us to experiment a little bit. And Bea mentioned a book that she just got called Nudge. So playing on behavioral psychology, I have a few ideas for us to think about when it comes to this idea of compromise. And I want us to get into breakout rooms before too long. There we go. I'll introduce the first one, and we will go into breakout rooms, talk about this provocation, and then when we come back, I'll have a more full-throated answer. But right now, what I want you to do is to consider this sort of puzzle in your breakout room. I'll introduce it, get you guys to those spaces. Caroline will help me make those breakout rooms, and introduce yourself, meet a new colleague, ask what city they're from, that sort of stuff, and then talk about this idea. So I want you guys on our first heuristic, and we'll talk about heuristics when we come back as well, when I unravel the first puzzle of 3. How many of you guys, by the way, saw this on Twitter? And that did anyone see okay, not too many. Okay, I put these out there, but who knows? So our first heuristic works like this. I want you to think of your favorite sweet, the chocolate, candy, whatever. As you do, look at these. These are Hershey Kisses, kind of like outlines, like an American candy. So there's these 3 candy outlines. And what do you guys think about the deliciousness of that candy when you see this idea? Sewage, Valentine, the other few things. Some of them might make the candy seem more appetizing, some maybe a little bit less. And that's kind of the idea. However, I want you guys, when you get into these breakout rooms, to think with the people that you're with, how on earth could this possibly relate to the work of a middle leader? And I will use rapping as an analogy. When we're working with other teachers, when we're guiding them through a journey of maybe a new textbook adoption, a series of meetings, regular time with one another, SST, student discovery time, meetings, that sort of a thing. What is the rapping, and how is that affecting? You see, so those guys don't know anything about me. You're starting to see how I work, I guess. And how does that affect outcomes to some degree? And so greet each other, play with this crazy idea, and then I have sort of an answer at the end of it, and then I'll give you another crazy idea before too long. So I tell you what, it's 16 after the hour. So for this first one, we'll spend about 10 minutes getting to meet each other. Caroline, if you don't mind trying to set them up as groups of 3 or 4, something like that. We'll jump in there, meet each other, and talk about this heuristic. And rapping being our analogy. Yeah, so maybe just 2 groups of 8 might work. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Jump into that room. I'll be in there with you guys. We'll do some chatting. Okay. If you're watching this recording right now, people are finishing up their work in breakout rooms on the silly idea of a heuristic. If you have any questions about ECIS, you can contact us for sure at our website, ecis.org, or our Middle Leaders program. We're doing some pretty neat stuff there. And that's what this fun event is all about. Some people who are interested or have taken some MLC courses to mix and get to know one another and talk about their middle leader experiences, which is definitely what I'm seeing happening in the breakout rooms. Lightly about this idea of a heuristic and more about their true experiences right now in the world as it is. All right, so I'll be letting them back in a moment. I'll go ahead and close the breakout rooms so we can cap this first one. All right. So we're gonna.
You want me to close the rooms, Jim?
Yeah, go ahead. I appreciate it. I was looking for the button to do so. Thank you. All right, so people should be making their way back in then. Switch my view so I can actually see some people a little bit better. All right. They're chatting away. They don't want to leave the rooms. That's a good sign. The minute, if you hit that 1 minute mark and they all bail out immediately, then you know it wasn't terribly successful. So
Yeah.
this is good news. All right, see if I have my heuristic answer set and ready. Yep. All right, see if I can find it. There we go. Oh, they're all going to get kicked out at the 1 minute mark. Goodness, they don't want to stop talking. I have to get them back in right away. All right. Oh, goodness. Hello, folks. You guys all, no one elected to leave their breakout room early. You guys were all kicked out at the last second. So I have a feeling I shouldn't talk very much and get you guys back in. So we'll talk about this first one. A heuristic is an idea from behavioral psychology and behavioral economics. And I'll show you guys the answer, or at least titling something that seems pretty obvious to us. In this case, the idea that current emotions do impact our decisions, the affect heuristic. So if I saw a candy that said sewage on it, it might impact whether or not I eat the thing. Even if I know what's in it is a pleasant thing anyhow, just the idea of seeing germs or sewage on it could really impact how I feel about that. I talk, and there's an example that you see, it's written about carrots. I don't remember where I saw it initially, so I'm kind of just trying to remember this particular study. Kids were shown carrots and then carrots that had cartoon characters on it that they like. And students were more likely to eat the package of carrots that had cartoon characters on it that they like. They were identifying with it. It was a positive emotion for them. So I guess in one sense, we could ask ourselves, how do we wrap our work as colleagues around positive things? Or in some cases, how do we park some of our emotions in order to be able to move forward with our work? As I'm sure you get, maybe, you know, turn your mic off for a second, even thinking about just how do we park our emotions? In the last couple of years, it's been hard to meet as colleagues. People are burnt out. People are tired. Have any of you guys seen an example of someone beginning a meeting or starting something in a positive way that was getting us an opportunity? Sorry, guys. That was getting us an opportunity to be really more engaged in a meeting, even in a bad situation. Do we have any examples of that you guys might be able to think of? Hey, yeah, go ahead. You're going to get the mic on, though, I'm sure. All right. Well, Bea's working on the mic. Does anyone else have a thought as to something that they've seen someone do in a meeting to help sort of curb those emotions and get more focused on the goal? Rachel,
I sort of like when people, sometimes we'll start meetings with like giving a shout out to somebody that's in the room. And it can just be about something small. Oh, she brought me a cupcake or whatever. And so it just kind of gets people to remember something positive that's happened to them recently, especially with someone that's kind of there in the room with them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's like kind of like reflecting good existing energy instead of making something up. I like that. Yeah, that's a good point. Bea, did you have one? You ready? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I lost my mouse. Well, I start most of my meetings with games, the big meetings, like whole house meetings or whatever, like with a game to motivate people, usually also because these meetings happen at 5 o'clock in the evening and most of them don't want to be there. I remember, for example, one time we played double and it was very interesting. Or another time I got them to play like for like a round. And yeah, we do play a lot of, or we just share experiences or throw in a dice, and then there is different things that they have to do depending on the number that comes out of the dice, like saying what was the best part of the week, or saying thank you of something that someone did, and on and on.
Yeah, I love that. And even if someone isn't called on or someone doesn't find it particularly entertaining, the effort that you're putting in to make the day a little bit better can often go a long ways as well. Knowing your audience is important. I remember I started a meeting a couple doors down from where Chris works with a panettone Italian cake at like Christmas time. It was like in December, I think. I bought it and brought it in, cut it up, and no one wanted any. It totally backfired. So food in this case, I thought that was a winner. It did not work. Turns out, I guess having a meeting at 8:30 in the morning and serving cake wasn't the right time. So even your best intentions cannot work. I was trying to get their affect heuristic going, get their current emotions in a positive space, and get people moving. I think some audiences, secondary schools, high schools, that sort of thing, we envision this isn't working or having less of a utility in that work, but making it a habit, being authentic about it can make that a greater reality. I remember one of my high school colleagues starting us off with a traditional Greek game some years ago in a math meeting, a room full of high school math teachers and middle school math teachers. And it went over incredibly well. Everyone had a smile on their face, but it came from the heart. It was something that she found important to share with us, this piece of culture, and it made everything better. And so it can work anywhere. All right, heuristic number 2. I'll get you guys back into the room chit chat. So let me introduce that to you. All right, Eduardo won a new ceramic bowl at his school fair. He was momentarily happy about it, thinking, that's neat, I'll enjoy this bowl. Before getting home, the bowl cracked and broke when getting on the bus. Oh, cruel world, Eduardo called out, loud to nobody in particular. He was truly upset and remained so upset the rest of the night. All right. So Eduardo seemed to have a stronger emotion with one or the other. And maybe it was more about loss than it was about gaining something. What happens in meetings when you're announcing that we're gaining something positive? And then what happens in a meeting when you have to be the bearer of bad news and say that we're losing something important? That's what I'm going to send you guys back into those breakout rooms as Caroline is able to do.
Okay.
And how does that affect our work? All right, about another 10 minutes or so, folks. Enjoy. All right. I think that one will give some good conversation. We're talking about heuristics here at the MLC Café this November, where leaders are taking some provocations, thinking about them and how they work with schools, with their work with teachers collectively. And I'm going to jump into some breakout rooms and hang out with them and learn from them and see what they have to say. So yeah, stick with us to hear heuristic number 3 as well. All right, I won't be long this time. You guys are all in the middle of conversations for sure. So I'll name this one, give you the next one, get you guys back into your rooms. You guys all seem in mid-conversation, which is fantastic. I'm also willing, by the way, I think some of you guys are presenting some real things, and you guys are definitely sharing in a real way. After this call is done and this recording is done, I'll stick around for a few minutes, help provide you guys some resources and some ideas. But if you are a teacher in international school, we are colleagues. I teach middle school math here in Vienna. I've been stuck in some goofy middle leader spots before where I did not feel that great. I'll be completely honest about it. And I found some times when I've been really successful. So I hope that you guys have an opportunity to connect with me a little bit. As a member of ECIS, or as a colleague of yours in Vienna. So I didn't show this last time. I already goofed up a little bit, my fault. Couldn't see the screen. These are bowls I actually made, so I'm showing off a little bit. But this was heuristic number 2. I wouldn't be too surprised if a few of you guys could have named what it is, but it's called loss aversion. Loss aversion principle suggests that losing something is a way stronger emotion than gaining something. And I think that has happened with many people overall in their sort of middle leadership experience, that they've gained the opportunity to do middle leadership work in a school, but they've often lost other things. And I've heard from middle leaders who have said they have lost a camaraderie with some colleagues. They've lost a type of dialogue or respect that they wanted from other people, and that it came with burdens and not so many successes as well. So I think even middle leaders themselves suffer from loss aversion to some degree as well. So we'll get on to the third one, get you guys back into those groups a little bit. Oh yeah, this is the cartoon I found at thedecisionlab.com about loss aversion. And so you hear the "Oh Cruel World" where I got that from in my Eduardo example. Winning 10, hey, that's pretty neat. Losing 10, how horrible of a feeling it is. And it really is. It's a true emotional experience to lose something and have to be the bearer of bad news. If you get a chance to talk, who had a great one today? I already forgot who it was in our group. There were some really good examples out there. So I'll get you guys into the next third and last one, and we'll head off to our evenings. Heuristic number 3. This is totally made up, and just have fun with it for a little bit. But I can't imagine a school that can actually collect this kind of data efficiently. All right. 75% of the grade level teams in our school have reached a consensus compromise in all meetings focused on decisions in the last 3 months. Now, your team has 4 decision-focused meetings coming up in the next 6 weeks. That is something called a nudge. There's even a book called Nudge, and Bea has that book. So how is this nudging somebody, and why? So if you were given this information and you're a team member and you're sitting down and you're hearing 75% of the other teams were successful in making consensus, and you have 4 of those coming up, how is that changing your approach to that series of meetings, even just a little bit? Say something about that, but have fun in your breakout rooms, chatting a little bit more about your real experiences. And Caroline, can you help get us back into those breakout rooms? Super. All right. For those guys watching, I'll say a little bit about the Middle Leader Certificate. I'm going to share my screen while others are chatting in their breakout rooms. This is our main page at ecis.org/middle-leader. And here you can see a listing of our 6 different courses, give you some really nice details about them in this drop-down menu. You can check out in the event calendar where those are taking place, see some fun introductory videos about what it looks like when we're able to do it in person. This is our Middle Leader Café in Zoom, and you can read a little bit about what we hope to achieve in these times. And you can see some of our wonderful, actually all 6 of our wonderful facilitators. We are folks who have worked in schools, or most of whom are still working in schools at this very, some as leaders, some as middle leaders. And that work helps, that we do daily, helps us stay really grounded in our curriculum, keep it fresh, keep it vibrant, and keep it in a place that allows folks to do really successful work coming out of our courses. Teresa, Helen, Nancy, Kristen, Jimena, and myself. I am more than proud to be a part of this crew. They're truly exceptional folks who do really, really, really wonderful work. And so it's really just an honor to be able to be mentioned ever in the same sentence as these truly phenomenal school leaders. So our pricing, I believe, to be very competitive through Zoom, super accessible on weeknights, happening throughout the calendar year, and hopefully in London before too long, maybe this summer, maybe next summer, maybe the summer after that. But right now our Zoom offerings include non-ECIS member schools, £250 for a 4-week course of 8 hours of phenomenal training, all the way to ECIS school level 3 members at 200 pounds, British pounds. A very competitive price for a wonderful offering. Some that are coming up as of this recording include January 2022, Middle Leader Certificates, Building and Leading Teams, and also Design Thinking, Process Leading Change. That one's mine. And that will be at a conference. And then we have another 4-week Middle Leader Certificate offering the culture of leadership as well. So that's a piece of what we do. And I'll be back after visiting some breakout rooms. All right. I'll share my screen to end it. You guys were just chatting away the whole time. Congratulations. And thank you guys all very much for being here. So this last one, and let me share my screen and then I'll hang out. We'll end the recording and then I'll hang out for as long as anyone wants to. I'm always about it. Before I show you guys the last answer, just want you to see the Middle Leader Certificate page where you can sign up to do some. We have on ecis.org, there's Middle Leader. It's /middle-leader. And these are our different courses that we have. I think there's actually 7. I think I said 6 earlier. 7 different possible courses. I do the Design Thinking, Process, and Leading Change one. These are our facilitators, Nancy, Helen, Teresa, Kristen, Jimena, and myself. These people are phenomenal. And the idea that I am even mentioned in the same sentence as them ever is such an honor. They're better than me for sure. Nancy's is next in January. And I got to tell you, this lady's as sharp as can be. Not only can you learn from her wealth of knowledge, just the way she holds herself and runs the course has changed me as a leader. And I've learned so much from her. If you want to learn more about leadership, her tone, the way she speaks, how she runs the course, and her content is all dynamite. And that's the next one coming up. They start at 250 pounds if you're at a non-member school. If you're an ECIS level 3 school, it can be as cheap as 200 pounds per session. Chris and Bea have both taken some. Chris, you've actually taken it from Nancy. Did you like her course?
I loved her. She's great. And like this really positive energy, even though she's a little picture on a screen, like, you know, it's all virtual. Like, I thought she was great. And I really looked forward to every session. I learned a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to attend more of her stuff, to be honest. I got to see her in person this fall in Luxembourg, and it was just such a treat. So if you have the chance to take her course, it will help change your career. It took me from nowhere to somewhere. And so I've known her now for 5 years, I think. And it really just changed who I am. If you see me now, you should have seen me before. Totally all about it. So this third heuristic was called the neighborhood effect. And you can find it as a way to impact others around you. You can see some examples that were very successful in the UK in getting people to pay their taxes on time by saying your neighbors are paying their taxes on time. Here's your tax bill. Make sure that you pay it. And it's actually had a positive impact on when people do what. So this last idea, I think, it can be dangerous if you start saying that other teams are doing it. So why are you not? You're in some deep trouble as a middle leader. However, if you are nudging it ever so gently, just sort of putting it out there, how many teams have completed the required work or accomplished certain things and not really suggested a narrative between you and them, perhaps you can help encourage success to show that success can happen on campus. I think that's a lot of where resistant learning changes occur with teachers. Is oftentimes we spend 99% of our time with students. We don't really recognize or honor the work that's going on around the school. I can remember a time when a curriculum director had us clap for everyone in the faculty who had completed some work over the summer. And it wasn't that I was itching to do more work over the summer, but it really made me think like, maybe our school doesn't just completely shut down for 2 months. Maybe people are accomplishing things over the summer months. And it kind of got my mind thinking about how I might want to approach summer. The next year, I did some work over the summer. And to my surprise, I was one of the many people that stood up and was clapped for doing something over the summer. So it can have that impact, But, those are just 3 fun ideas. And if you want a life-changing experience, in January, go sign up for Nancy's course. She's amazing. thank you guys very, very, very much for being here tonight. And if you want to chat, I'll hang around a bit. But you can always reach me at ECIS. It's jim@ecis.org is my email. And you can find it online too. I'm more than happy to chat with you and your colleagues about anything and everything. So thank you, thank you, thank you.